Adewale stood frozen, staring at his mother's lifeless body. His hands, sleek with her blood, trembled as he clutched the heart he had ripped from her chest. The room was silent, except for the deafening thud of his own heartbeat. He had done it, sacrificed the one person who loved him for the promise of wealth. The herbalist's words echoed in his mind. Her blood will bring you riches. But as he looked at the lifeless figure of his mother, the weight of what he has done crushed him. Outside, footsteps approached, but all Adewale could hear was the voice in his head whispering, "There is no turning back now." In a small village on the outskirts of Ibadan lived a young man named Adewale, a brilliant and ambitious soul who dreamed of a future far brighter than his circumstances suggested. Adewale was no ordinary man. He had graduated from the prestigious University of Ibadan with a first-class degree, a feat that made him the pride of his mother, Adewale, and a hopeful beacon in their poverty-stricken lives. But despite his brilliance, Adewale had learned that life doesn't always reward merit, and sometimes the path to success is paved with unimaginable struggles. Adewale was the pillar of his life. She had been a widow since Adewale's first year in the university, when his father succumbed to a terrible disease. Left with no support from her late husband's family, Adewale took on the burden of Adewale's education, selling off her wares in the market to ensure her son got the future she believed he deserved. She would always tell him, "Omomi, your time will come. Don't give up. My spirit tells me you will succeed." It was her unwavering support and love that kept Adewale from sinking into despair, even as he faced rejection after rejection in his quest for a job. After completing the National Youth Service Corps, Adewale began to feel the weight of his reality. The little stipend he had received during his service was gone, and the harsh truth of unemployment greeted him daily. With his CV in his hands, he roamed the streets of Ibadan, knocking on the doors of companies, hoping for a breakthrough. His dreams were high, but his shoes were worn, and his spirit was slowly breaking. One day, after many weeks of searching, Adewale was finally called into the office of a company's manager. His heart raced with excitement. Surely this was his moment. The manager praised his academic achievements, noting how rare it was to find someone with such an impressive result. But just when Adewale thought he had secured the job, the manager's tone changed. "You see, Adewale, I can't hire you here. Your qualifications are far better than mine, and if the CEO sees this, he will be promoted above me in no time. I can't risk my own job for someone like you." Adewale's heart sank. He left the office in silence, carrying the weight of rejection like a stone in his chest. At home, Adewale comforted him, assuring him that his time would come. Her words were always filled with hope. But Adewale felt the sting of hopelessness creeping into his bones. As time passed, their situation worsened. Adewale and his mother would work together, visiting company after company, submitting resumes in a desperate attempt to change their fate. The strain began to take its toll on Adewale. Her health began to falter from the constant stress and exhaustion, but she never complained. She was determined to see her son succeed. One particularly humiliating experience came when a young man, not older than Adewale himself, offered Adewale a deal: her son's employment in exchange for a romantic relationship. Enraged, Adewale confronted the man, but the damage was done. His mother's pride had been wounded, and once again, they left another company empty-handed. Soon after, Adewale fell gravely ill. Adewale, with no money to buy her medication, was forced to swallow his pride and ask an old friend, Tunde, for help. Tunde was now wealthy and powerful, a sharp contrast to the boy once helped during their university days. Tunde lent Adewale some money, but made it clear that he expected repayment in a short time. Days later, Adewale recovered, but Adewale's troubles were far from over. When he failed to repay Tunde by the agreed date, his once generous friend turned vicious. Tunde, obsessed with money, stormed Adewale's home with police officers, demanding his repayment. The scene drew the attention of the entire neighborhood, humiliating Adewale and breaking his mother's heart once more. Despite her frailty, Adewale managed to gather money from neighbors to bail her son out of jail after he was arrested for his debts. Adewale's life seemed to be sinking into an abyss until one fateful day when he encountered another old university friend, Akin. Akin, now fabulously wealthy, offered Adewale something he had not been given in a long time: hope. "Come to my house tomorrow," Akin said. "There's something I can show you. I promise it will change your life." The next day, Adewale visited Akin's lavish mansion. They reminisced about their university days, but the topic soon shifted. "I can see you are struggling," Akin said. "I know how hard life can be, but if you really want to be rich, I can introduce you to the way." Adewale, desperate and blinded by his longing for wealth, agreed. The following night, Akin took Adewale deep into a forest where they met a powerful herbalist. The old man's voice was like a whisper in the wind, ancient and foreboding. "I know why you have come," he said without needing an explanation. "You seek wealth beyond your wildest dreams. But wealth, true wealth, requires a sacrifice." Adewale's heart pounded as the herbalist told him to bring the heads of 2 black goats for the first ritual. Desperate to escape his poverty, Adewale complied. The next morning, he awoke to bundles of cash lying beside him, and for the first time in his life, he felt like his fortune had changed. But the joy was short-lived. Within days, the money vanished, leaving Adewale more desperate than ever. When he returned to the herbalist, the old man's eyes gleamed with a sinister light. "What you experienced was just a taste. For true lasting wealth, you must sacrifice something far more precious." The herbalist's words struck like lightning. "You must bring me the heart of a blood relative. Your father, your siblings, or your mother." Adewale froze. His mind erased, his heart filled with dread. He only had his mother left. The very thought of sacrificing her tore him apart. For days, he wrestled with the decision. Could he really do such a thing? Could he take the life of the one person who had sacrificed everything for him? But as the days passed, fear of failure and poverty outweighed his love. One night, with trembling hands and tears in his eyes, Adewale approached his sleeping mother. He muttered apologies through his sobs as he did the unthinkable. He took the life of the woman who had loved him more than anyone in the world. With her heart in a calabash, Adewale made his way to the herbalist's hut, only to find the old man dead, claimed by a mysterious illness. Adewale collapsed, overwhelmed by the horror of what he had done. His mother's death had been in vain. There would be no wealth. There was only darkness. As he returned home, the villagers had already gathered outside his house. Drawn by the stench of death, they found Adewale's lifeless body and called the authorities. When Adewale arrived, they seized him, discovering the calabash containing her heart. The villagers gasped in horror, and Adewale was arrested. In court, Adewale confessed to everything. His dreams of wealth had led him down a path of destruction. He was sentenced to life in prison, where he would spend the rest of his days, haunted by the memory of his mother's love and the terrible price he paid for his ambition. And so, the tale of Adewale, the boy who sacrificed his own mother for wealth, spread like wildfire, a cautionary story told for generations. The moral was clear. There is no wealth more valuable than love, and no poverty greater than losing one's soul. So guys, this is where I'm going to end this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.